Previously on Power Reviews.
With database back, we've got a Power Ranger on our side.
You were sent to infiltrate Alphabet Soup, which crossed over into our world through an interdimensional rift.
They've been partnered with Alphabet Soup. They're not human.
That portal gate is supposed to lead back home.
But not your home. Ours!
Our master.
The darkness.
The one who wears your face.
The landlord. Mayo's exorcism spell.
We got rid of the demons, defeated the Omega agents, and even got Alphabet Soup themselves to destroy the portal gate. The fluctuation in the cross-dimensional continuum. And that will seem like nothing more than a temporal hiccup if Alphabet Soup flies their ship through the rift and disrupts the tachyon cloud.
Our Alpha is on that ship. Follow me.
Move! We need your cat.
What on earth are you?
Got it!
We're nearing the rift.
What did you just do to this ship?
And now, Database Rangers Power Review.
Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome aboard.
What did you just do to this ship?
We just saved it.
It's true, Madam Secretary.
Madam Secretary? She's not the secretary. You're not the secretary.
She is now.
Now.
Yes.
But what about
That was before.
before?
Yes.
Before what?
Before she failed one too many times.
Before she... Oh.
Please, just take a look at these readings.
Oh my word!
What is it?
Well, these tachyon interactions are unlike anything I've ever seen. If we had passed through the rift in this state, the results would have been catastrophic.
How did we miss this?
We weren't looking?
Why not?
Probably because none of your people are hypersensitive to aberrations in the space-time continuum?
And you are?
Apparently.
Very well, but none of that answers my question. What did you people do to this ship?
I simply reprogrammed the system using the digital nucleotide analog base code of the Felis sylvestris catus in order to infuse the ship with the organic biofoundation necessary to override the autopilot protocol.
Wait, so that collar...
DNA digital sequencer.
Fascinating.
I'm just gonna put my cat down now.
Madam Secretary? What's happening down there?
Sir Director? Madam Director? It appears they've taken control of the ship.
And what are you doing to fix this?
What now?
The tachyon storm is reaching critical mass!
We need to recalibrate.
The dimensional stabilizers?
Yes, and reroute the subroutines.
Oh, to the tachyon detection systems.
Finally, someone who speaks English.
Is that what they call it?
This is so exciting! I've been a huge fan of yours for ages. I can't believe I'll finally be working with you.
No one is working with anyone.
But
No argument. These people have commandeered our ship, and we're offering them no cooperation without explicit authorization from the directors themselves.
Fine. Then let's talk to them.
We are not negotiating with...
Okay, how much time do we have before that temporal storm hits?
It's impossible to say, really, but not long.
Then we don't have time to argue. Power down. Madam Secretary, take me to your leaders.
Do it, Madam Secretary. Patch us through.
Affirmative. Database Ranger, meet the directors of Alphabet Soup.
Whoa, whatever happened to walls just being walls?
Hello, Mr. Ranger.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Right back at you.
So, you wanted to talk?
Yes.
Then let's talk.
Okay.
Let's talk about all of the operations you've sabotaged in the past.
Let's talk about all of our agents that you've injured.
Or about how you and the former Agent Y tampered with our systems to destroy valuable research.
Or how your actions directly contributed to 4 of our agents being converted into the leaders of a direct assault on our facilities by unknown alien forces.
Or let's talk about the fact that you're a Power Ranger and an unidentified synth organic being, the very sort of entity our organization was created to counteract.
And then you can tell us why we should believe anything you have to say.
Wow. Well, first off, sorry about all that. Crossed wires and whatnot. Although, in my defense, you did kidnap us. A lot.
This is actually going better than I thought.
Look, I'm not really much of a negotiator.
Obviously.
But what I am is a storyteller. So if you'd allow me, I'd like to take this time to tell you a little story. A story about teamwork across time and space.
Is he really doing this?
He's really doing this.
This is the story of episode 35, or is it 33, or maybe 38? Never mind. Of Power Rangers SPD. Wormhole. Aboard his interstellar warship, the Terror, Emperor Grum speaks to a mysterious, malevolent, unseen force, which would later be revealed to be a giant, unexplained brain in a jar named Omni, making excuses for his past failures and swearing through a series of quick cuts that his new plan will ensure their final victory over Earth, as he guides the Terror through a mysterious wormhole in space. Not unlike the mysterious interdimensional rift we now find ourselves facing, or the unknown malevolent force on the other side, or the starship we now find ourselves on, although presumably with fewer giant brains.
Does he do this often?
You have no idea.
Anywho, back at SPD headquarters, Commander Anubis Doggy Kruger informs the B-Squad cadets of Grum's retreat through the Thanarian Nebula, and is forced to quickly curb their preemptive celebration, reminding them that their enemy always has a larger plan in mind. This is quickly confirmed by Dr. Kat Menks, detecting Tribbian energy inside a temporal wormhole.
Sir, then where is he going?
More important question, what time is he going to?
Please refrain from doing impressions.
Not making any promises on that one. Now, 21 years prior, in 2004...
So, wait. Are you saying that this whole prologue is taking place 9 years in the future?
Did I not mention that part?
No.
Oh, right. SPD, Grum, 2025. All the rest of this stuff, 2004. Just in case there was any confusion, or yeah. Good? Okay.
Still going better than you thought?
So, back in 2004 at Reefside High School, senior student Trent Fernandez Mercer, or whatever his last name was that week, sketches his friends Kira Ford and Ethan James, respectively playing a guitar in a video game, with the latter getting way too invested, claiming that it could be ancient history from a galaxy far, far away, the former claiming that his mind is the only thing far, far away, and I'm getting off topic, aren't I?
Yes.
Yes.
Fair enough, although I will say we are probably the last group of people who should think about dismissing the defictionalization of a popular media property. As soccer player Connor McKnight joins them in reminding Ethan that starships and whatnot are all just a game, they are surprised by the improbably ironic arrival of the Terror overhead, which really has no reason at all for flying over a high school, but that's neither here nor there. Grum's plan is to rip off Rancic and conquer Earth in the past to wipe out all resistance for the future, and immediately has Mora start creating monsters with her magic sketchbook, because age-reversed children from the future can apparently do that. Back in the future, Kat explains the whole time travel situation, saying,
"A wormhole is a thin tube of space-time connecting distant regions of the universe that could provide the possibility of time travel."
Einstein's theory of relativity.
Correct.
Well, that's really an oversimplification.
Yes, the Einstein field equations that make up the core tenets of relativity were only discovered to have valid wormhole solutions a year later due to the discoveries of Ludwig Blom and the metrics of Carl Schwarzschild.
Hence the term Schwarzschild wormhole, or Einstein-Rosen bridge. But even then, it wasn't until the Morris-Thorne wormhole was proposed that a traversable wormhole was truly considered viable.
And even then, the Ricciardi theorem and the Casimir effect would dictate that exotic matter would be needed for stabilization.
Now, do you subscribe to Deutsch's use of the many worlds interpretation to bypass the temporal paradoxes inherent in retrocausality?
Of course, I think that would go without saying.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, of course. Continue.
So, assuming Terminator 2 physics rather than Terminator 1, Doggy sends Jack, Bridge, and Z to chase Grum into the wormhole to prevent the Tribbian warlord from changing history. Meanwhile, or past while, Connor, Kira, Ethan, and Trent head off to the woods to investigate what's going on, but are quickly met by Zeltrax and a squadron of Tyrannodrones, who are just as quickly beamed aboard Grum's ship, where the Emperor forcefully recruits the abducted revenge-driven cyborg to his cause.
I'm going to stop you right there, just to clarify. This story of yours that is intended to convince us to cooperate with you and your colleagues features a time-traveling alien warlord forcing a revenge-driven cyborg to work with him to conquer the world.
Well, the overall motif is supposed to be one of teamwork, but, yeah.
Would you like me to shoot him, sir?
What?
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Madam Secretary. He is far too valuable a specimen. If anything, we would have you shoot Agent Y. He's far more expendable.
What?
Whoa, whoa. Everyone just calm down a minute. Nobody needs to be shooting anyone. If I may continue, please?
Very well, Mr. Ranger, but get to your point, please.
All right. This is the point where Jack, Bridge, and Z fly their shuttle through the wormhole and land in the forest, greeting the Reefside teens as they disembark. You see, these four are the Dino Thunder Power Rangers, who, with the exception of Trent, would one day travel to the future to team up with the SPD Rangers against Grum and Mercenary Broodwing. Of course, the Dino Thunder Rangers don't remember any of this, since, as Bridge puts it,
You erase your memory because knowledge of the future would have a detrimental effect on it, causing it not to happen in the random matter that it's supposed to happen without you interacting with it.
or, you know, because they wouldn't be traveling into the future until the following year. But that's not my point. My point is, when the SPD Rangers pick up signs of Trubian energy, they are initially hesitant to allow the unauthorized Dino Rangers to assist with their mission. But as the millennial teens are quick to point out,
Your fight is now our fight. Yeah!
beyond that, in the future, Kat learns the wormhole is closing, forcing Doggy to make plans to go after Grum himself, with the rest of the team refusing to be left behind.
Sir, if you go back and we stay here, and Grum wins, then being here will be unnecessary. There won't be a here.
Somebody's never heard of Novikov's self-consistency principle.
Sounds like they're not the only ones running out of time. The tachyon storm is breaching the dimensional barrier. We have to act now.
This is ridiculous. Shoot me if you want to, but let them help.
Don't tempt me. We're not exactly fond of traitors.
Everybody just hold on, okay? Just calm down, all right?
Mr. Ranger, this has gone on long enough.
Your stalling tactics are accomplishing nothing.
His stalling tactics. What about yours?
Excuse me?
While you point blasters and withhold resources, a temporal storm is about to break. And considering that without our intervention, you would have stumbled blindly into the maelstrom, I highly doubt that any of you have any idea how to deal with it. So either assist the only people who have demonstrated the ability to reliably seal dimensional breaches, or get out of our way! Look, if we don't work together, we're pretty much all doomed anyway. What have you got to lose?
Fine, then.
Dr. C, you have authorization to assist.
Oh, goody!
Come on, we have work to do.
Thank you.
And what about when this is all done?
How do we know we can trust you then?
Well, if you like, I could always continue my story. You see, at this point, the 2004 Rangers had to temporarily split up to go after the multiple energy signatures.
Actually, we're gonna have to cut this short. We're going to need the Phantom Ranger to make this work.
Oh, right. Good point. Mayo, Guy, could you two cover the rest of this?
What? Why?
Because I have a feeling I'm going to need to make my final argument when I get back. And I'd kind of like everyone to be brought up to speed first. Besides, I'm not the only one they're going to need to trust.
Okay, fine. Let me bring up the episode. Jack morphs into SPD Red to face off against an orange-head Crybot in the city plaza.
Where it apparently somehow got a hold of orange chronosabers.
And takes it out with a super spiffy spinning rapid-fire Delta Blaster multi-blast.
Meanwhile, Green Ranger Bridge takes on an even more impressive task by confronting a contingent of both Blueheads and standard Crybots, seemingly flying to defeat them before taking out an elite Orangehead himself.
Alright, Kay, where do you need me?
According to the schematics, this ship has an exotic matter beam cannon for partial rift stabilization. I need you to give it a boost.
Will do. R-Beta, can you take me there?
Negative. The Secretary will escort the Phantom Ranger.
Agent Arbeta, you will guard the autopilot server.
Sir, madam, are you sure?
We have full faith in you, Madam Secretary.
And I think that Agent Arbeta understands that she's not the only one who'll have to pay the price if she fails us. Isn't that right?
Understood, Stern, Madam Directors.
Let's get moving.
Okay, so with their jobs done, Jack and Bridge meet up with the other unmorphed Rangers in the forest, who are still tracking down their baddies.
However, their search is soon interrupted by the breakout of a duel between Zeltrax and the Black Dino Thunder Power Ranger, Dr. Tommy Oliver.
Really? Tommy became a doctor?
PhD, not MD.
Still.
I know. Temporal distortions.
And if that weren't enough, they get interrupted even further by the arrival of a massive army of Crybots, Blueheads, Orangeheads, and Tyrannodrones.
Well, let's look on the bright side. Couldn't get any worse.
I have no idea why on earth she would say that.
Cue the immediate appearance of Mora's 3 monsters, spurring the 7 into action as they morph into the Power Rangers SPD and Power Rangers Dino Thunder.
Space Patrol Delta! Dino Powers! Let's do it! Okay, give it all you got! Yeah!
Here we are.
Alright, then stand back. It's morphin' time.
The 8 Rangers face off against the Monster Army and are soon joined by Sky and Sid, the blue and pink SPD Rangers, Sam, the Omega Ranger, who never seems to demorph for some reason, and finally the big dog himself, Doggy Kruger, as the Shadow Ranger, which Tommy never seems to question for a minute.
Pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
That didn't sound right.
Regardless, despite reinforcements, the Power Rangers are soon surrounded by enemy forces.
It is true. You have us outnumbered. But remember, it is not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. No one gets inside our circle.
No one gets inside.
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 You got it, Commander.
All right, I'm inside. Now what?
Now united, the Rangers proceed to immediately break apart the moment the enemy attacks.
What are you doing?
Locking you inside. You make any attempt to further sabotage the ship, and I flush you out the airlock. Understood?
Yeah, understood. Looks like this team-up's going along swimmingly.
SPD Yellow and SPD Pink team up with the Terror Ranger to take on the...
Spotty-eyed monster?
Sure. And destroy it with their blasters. The Drago and Omega Rangers team up to destroy a collection of grunts with their respective dash attack and electro mode, while SPD Green and Blue work with the Tricera Ranger to battle the...
green monster?
Alright. And likewise, destroy it with their blasters.
Next up is Tommy and Doggy versus Zeltrax, who quickly send the grumpy cyborg packing.
Finally, SPD Red and the Tyranno Ranger battleize into Cyber Mode and Triassic to take on another collection of grunts led by...
let's say, Vine Monster.
Fine, let's go with that.
Almost done. You?
Nearing full power.
Database, are you ready?
Phantom Ranger in position.
Ready the wireless interdimensional interface mobile offsite transmission equipment.
Wiimote ready.
Full power!
Sonic mode. Battleizer cannon. Fire!
Now cross the streams.
Dual blast dimension beam. Fire!
Uniting their forces, the Rangers summon their K9 Cannon and Z-Rex Blaster to eliminate the remaining attacking forces.
And then segue into a full-on 12 Ranger roll call to kick off the biggest explosion of the bunch.
Emperor Grum considers going after his enemies himself, but Mora is quick to point out that their only path home is about to close.
Keep going, we've nearly neutralized the breach. So, with the wormhole sealing up and left with the option of either retreating or reconquering all of his previous conquests, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense considering his past self still exists, Grum decides to hightail it back to the Tenarian Nebula.
It's done.
And so are you. Time to say goodbye, Mr. Ranger.
The Rangers all say goodbye to each other back at the school, minus Sam and Dr. O for some reason, and with the wormhole closing, there's no time to dawdle.
I really wish I could stay. I was just born last week and I could meet myself and become my own best friend.
Unfortunately, time travel protocol dictates that the Dino Rangers' memories must be wiped of the entire encounter for the preservation of the timeline, which makes sense. What doesn't make sense is that Commander Kruger then proceeds to wipe the minds of the entire B-Squad and himself, which not only serves no purpose, but also leaves 2 Rangers completely unaccounted for.
I guess you never really miss someone until they're gone. You know, the old secretary never pulled a laser pistol on me.
Be quiet.
This doesn't make any sense. We helped you.
Alphabet Soup was founded on a single principle. Every Ranger is a potential threat, and you need to be neutralized. Goodbye.
Hi!
Unfortunately, Grum hasn't forgotten a thing, and this last failure makes him all the more determined to prepare for the arrival of the Magnificents.
And that's the end of the episode.
So, what did you think of it?
Well...
We think this has been a colossal waste of time.
Agent R Beta, please eliminate Agent Y. I trust that you and Dr. C can handle subjects K Gamma and K Beta.
Hold it right there. Did he just say K Beta? You know what? Never mind. No one is eliminating anyone.
R Beta, now. Or else.
Or else what?
Mr. Ranger, don't test them.
They're not going to hurt our Alpha. They're not going to do anything. Otherwise, they would have acted already.
What are you talking about?
I made the mistake of thinking you were actually interested in a peaceful solution.
Of course we are.
No, you're not. The only reason you haven't unleashed each and every one of your field agents on us already is because you can't. Because they're all in cryostasis.
We can release them at any time.
No, you can't. You don't have control over the ship anymore. We do.
This has all been one big bluff.
We will not negotiate with hijackers.
Our beta. Eliminate them now.
Our beta? Now.
You know the right thing to do.
Our beta!
No one is listening to you anymore.
So maybe it's time for you to listen. You want me to get to my point? Well, here it is. Wormhole is far from a perfect team-up, but there are a number of things the episode does fairly well. The Dino Thunder teens are very handily reintroduced, each in their element. The science surrounding the wormhole is actually surprisingly sound, and in some ways, it even improves upon the more popular previous team-up history, most notably in Grum's use of strategy. Through forcing his enemies to follow him into unfamiliar territory, attacking multiple targets, and quickly recruiting allies in the form of Zeltrax and the Tyrannodrones, he actually presents a threat worthy of two Ranger teams. Plus, unlike with history, which only featured Connor, Kira, and Ethan, we actually get to see all 12 Rangers fighting side by side, complete with full-on battleizer modes. And there's just something inherently more satisfying in seeing that. And it's also nice to see things not happening in Team Up Quarry for once. However, where things quickly start to fall apart is in the logic. The whole memory wiping debacle is just the most blatant example. We also have Grum fleeing without even considering working with his past self, the Rangers abandoning the future without considering the threat of Broodwing, and of course the absolutely hilarious no one gets inside mantra that is followed immediately by all of them dispersing. And then there's the whole chronology of things between the seasons, which is just all kinds of messed up. I'll come back to that part in a moment. Overall, the episode actually does a solid job of quickly uniting the two teams against their common foes, and presents a nice trip down memory lane with things like Reefside High School and the rivalry between Zeltrax and Tommy, even if Jason David Frank himself didn't reprise the role.
I knew he sounded different.
Yeah, that was actually Jeffrey Perazzo, Trent's actor. Oh, right. As I was saying, it's great to see the rigidly procedure-driven SPD cadets working alongside the more rebelliously independent Dino Thunder teens. It's just a shame that it's all brought down by a handful of bizarre lapses in logic and a wacky timeline. That timeline, though, is what I really want to talk to you about. You see, there are a number of things in this episode that don't match up if you know the broader scope of things. Mora actually spent much of the season in her adult form of Morgana. She actually wasn't reverted to Mora again until the episode Insomnia, and by the end of that episode, she was completely brainwashed by Omni, and ended up looking completely different than she does here. Now, that could easily be explained away by this episode happening between scenes of that one, as unlikely and improbable as it may seem, but then we take a look at the Dino Thunder timeline. You see, just as Jack's Battleizer places us late in the SPD timeline, Connor's Battleizer places us late in the Dino Thunder timeline. Which would be fine if not for Zeltrax commanding Mesogog's Tyrannodrones. You see, at this point in the timeline, Zeltrax wasn't working for Mesogog anymore. He was an independent operator, and his minions were the Triptoids. And when you take into account that Tommy appears stuck in his suit long after he had been broken free, you can really only come to one conclusion. Wormhole does not fit cleanly into the Power Rangers timeline. Into your timeline. And I think you know why.
Yes.
Temporal distortions.
Temporal distortions. Tied to an incident involving a temporal wormhole. Not just causing time to skip like a record, but actually overturning causality itself. That is what this rift is doing. It is unraveling the world where you came from. The world where I came from. And it's poised to do the same thing to this one. And none of us want that.
What are you proposing?
An alliance.
Toward what purpose?
Toward ending this.
How?
By going to the source. By going into the rift.